Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the mysterious corners of our world and universe, places where science reaches its limits and wonder begins. Around us and above us are phenomena that defy explanation, lights that dance without source, sounds that echo from nowhere, patterns that emerge without reason. The world is both familiar and strange, filled with mysteries that even our greatest minds cannot yet solve. If you enjoy these quiet explorations into the unknown, I invite you to like and subscribe or share a simple thought down in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is rest, settle in, and allow the calm of mystery to carry you into peaceful sleep. Let's begin. The hum, a low-frequency sound heard around the world. In quiet towns across the globe, a small percentage of people hear something others cannot. A low, persistent hum, like a diesel engine idling in the distance. It pulses and throbs, keeping them awake at night, yet no source can be found. This phenomenon, known simply as the hum, has been reported in Taos, New Mexico, in Bristol, England, and in dozens of other locations worldwide. Scientists have investigated thoroughly, using sensitive equipment to detect low-frequency sounds. Some believe it may be related to industrial activity or electrical infrastructure. Others suggest it could be a form of tinnitus, affecting certain individuals. Yet, no definitive explanation has emerged. The hum continues, heard by some, silent to others, a mystery that vibrates at the edge of human perception. Those who hear it describe it differently. Some say it's constant, others that it comes and goes. Some find it maddening, while others grow accustomed to its presence. The fact that only certain people can detect it makes it all the more puzzling. Is it environmental or internal? Physical or psychological? The hum remains unanswered, a low note in the symphony of unexplained phenomena, ball lightning, glowing spheres that appear during storms. During thunderstorms, witnesses occasionally report seeing something extraordinary. Glowing spheres of light, ranging from the size of a golf ball to several meters across, floating through the air. These orbs, known as ball lightning, drift slowly, sometimes passing through walls or windows, before vanishing silently or exploding with a sharp crack. For centuries, scientists dismissed these reports as optical illusions or misidentified phenomena. Yet too many credible witnesses, including pilots and meteorologists, have described ball lightning for it to be ignored. The challenge lies in its rarity and unpredictability. Ball lightning appears without warning and disappears just as quickly, making it nearly impossible to study. Various theories attempt to explain it. Some suggest it's a plasma phenomenon, created by the energy of lightning strikes interacting with atmospheric gases. Others propose it might involve microwave radiation or silicon particles vaporized from soil. Laboratory experiments have created short-lived glowing spheres, but none fully replicate the behavior described by witnesses. Ball lightning remains one of nature's most beautiful and baffling mysteries, a ghostly visitor during storms. The WOW signal, a radio transmission from deep space. On the 15th of August, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio detected something remarkable. A strong, narrow-band radio signal lasting 72 seconds, appearing to come from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. The signal was so unusual that astronomer Jerry Eman circled it on the printout and wrote, "Wow," in the margin. The name stuck. The WOW signal matched the expected characteristics of an interstellar transmission. Its frequency was close to the hydrogen line, a wavelength many scientists believe intelligent civilizations might use for communication. The signal's strength suggested it came from a powerful source. Yet, when astronomers turned their instruments back to the same location, they found nothing. The signal has never repeated. Explanations have been proposed over the decades. Some suggest it was interference from a passing satellite or aircraft, though the signal's characteristics don't match known human technology from that era. Others wonder if it could have been a natural astronomical event, perhaps from a magnetar or other exotic object. A few hold out hope it was indeed a message from another civilization, sent once and never again. The WOW signal remains one of the most intriguing moments in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, a cosmic mystery written in radio waves. The Oakville blobs, gelatinous rain that fell from the sky. In August 1994, residents of Oakville, Washington, experienced something bizarre. Instead of rain, translucent, gelatinous blobs fell from the sky, covering an area of about 20 square miles. The substance was soft, sticky, and unlike anything anyone had seen before. Those who touched it reported feeling ill shortly afterward, suffering from flu-like symptoms. Samples were collected and analyzed. Initial tests suggested the blobs contained human white blood cells, which only deepened the mystery. How could human biological material rain from the sky? Further analysis revealed the presence of two types of bacteria, one of which is typically found in the human digestive system. Yet no definitive explanation emerged for how this material got into the atmosphere or why it fell over Oakville. Theories ranged from the mundane to the fantastic. Some suggested the blobs were the remains of jellyfish carried aloft by waterspouts and then dropped inland. Others wondered if they might be related to military exercises or waste disposal. A few even speculated about extraterrestrial origins. Despite multiple investigations, the Oakville blobs remain unexplained, a gelatinous mystery that literally fell from the heavens. The Tunguska event, a massive explosion with no crater. On the 30th of June, 1908, a colossal explosion occurred near the Tunguska River in Siberia. The blast flattened an estimated 80 million trees over an area of 830 square miles. Witnesses hundreds of miles away reported seeing a bright blue light streak across the sky, followed by a shockwave that knocked people off their feet and shattered windows. The explosion was estimated to be 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. What makes Tunguska truly mysterious is what investigators didn't find. There was no crater, no large meteorite fragments, nothing to definitively explain the blast. The most widely accepted theory suggests a meteor or small comet exploded in the atmosphere before impact, creating an airburst. This would explain the destruction without a crater. Yet some details don't quite fit this explanation. The symmetry of the fallen trees suggests a precise explosion point, but no definitive impact site has been identified. Small metallic spheres found in the area might be meteor debris, or they could be from other sources. Some researchers have proposed alternative theories, including a natural gas explosion, a micro-black hole passing through Earth, or even a malfunction of an experimental weapon. The Tunguska event remains the largest impact-related event in recorded history, yet its exact cause continues to be debated more than a century later. Spontaneous human combustion, bodies burning without external source. Throughout history, there have been rare and disturbing reports of people suddenly bursting into flames, their bodies consumed by fire with no apparent external ignition source. These cases, known as spontaneous human combustion, often share eerie similarities. The victim's torso and head are reduced to ash, while the legs and sometimes arms remain relatively intact. Surrounding furniture and walls show minimal fire damage. One famous case occurred in 1951 in St. Petersburg, Florida. Mary Reeser was found reduced to ashes in her apartment, with only one leg remaining below the knee. The chair she had been sitting in was destroyed, but nearby objects, including newspapers, showed no burning. The temperature required to cremate a human body is typically around 1,400 to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, yet the localized nature of the fire seemed inexplicable. Scientists have proposed several explanations. The wick effect suggests that clothing can act as a wick, with body fat serving as fuel, allowing a body to burn slowly and intensely while minimizing damage to surroundings. Others point to the role of alcohol in the bloodstream or nearby ignition sources like cigarettes. Yet skeptics note that none of these theories fully explain all reported cases. Spontaneous human combustion remains a controversial and unsettling mystery, challenging our understanding of how fire behaves. The Hessdalen lights, unexplained illuminations, in Norwegian, valley. In the Hessdalen Valley of Norway, strange lights have been appearing in the sky since at least the 1,930 seconds, with a surge of activity in the 1,980 seconds. These lights take various forms: white, yellow, or red orbs that float, hover, or move rapidly through the air. Sometimes they appear alone, other times in groups. They can last for seconds or linger for over an hour. What makes Hessdalen unique is that scientists have been able to study these lights systematically. Automated monitoring stations equipped with cameras and sensors have recorded thousands of observations. The lights appear to be real physical phenomena, not optical illusions or misidentified aircraft. Yet despite years of research, no one knows what causes them. Theories abound. Some researchers suggest the lights are related to the geology of the valley, perhaps piezoelectric effects from stressed rock or combustion of gases released from the ground. Others wonder if unusual atmospheric conditions or even plasma phenomena might be responsible. The lights don't match any known natural or artificial light source. They remain one of the few unexplained aerial phenomena that scientists can reliably observe and study, yet understanding continues to elude them. Dark matter, the invisible substance that fills the universe. Astronomers face an embarrassing problem. When they calculate the mass of galaxies based on visible matter, the numbers don't add up. Galaxies spin too fast to be held together by the gravity of stars, gas, and dust alone. Galaxy clusters contain too much gravitational pull to be explained by observable matter. Something invisible is exerting tremendous gravitational influence. This invisible something is called dark matter, and it's thought to make up about 85% of all matter in the universe. Despite its prevalence, we cannot see it, touch it, or detect it directly. We only know it exists because of its gravitational effects on visible matter and light. Stars at the edges of galaxies orbit faster than they should, suggesting they're being pulled by unseen mass. Scientists have built elaborate detectors deep underground, shielded from interference, hoping to catch a dark matter particle interacting with ordinary matter. So far, nothing definitive has been found. We don't know what dark matter is made of. It doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light. It doesn't interact with ordinary matter, except through gravity. It's a ghost substance, fundamental to the structure of the cosmos, yet utterly mysterious. Dark matter is perhaps the greatest unsolved problem in modern physics. The placebo effect, healing through belief alone. In medical trials, researchers give some patients real medication and others a fake pill with no active ingredients, a placebo. Remarkably, patients taking the placebo often experience real improvements in their conditions, Pain decreases, symptoms fade, measurable physiological changes occur. This is the placebo effect, and it's far more powerful than it has any right to be. The placebo effect challenges our understanding of how the mind and body interact. Brain scans show that placebos can trigger the release of endorphins, natural painkillers. They can affect neurotransmitter levels and even alter immune responses. The expectation of healing seems to activate real biological mechanisms. In some studies, placebos have been nearly as effective as actual medications. What makes this truly puzzling is that the placebo effect works even when patients know they're taking a placebo. Studies have shown that people taking open-label placebos, pills they know contain no active ingredients, still experience benefits. This suggests the ritual of treatment itself, the care and attention from medical professionals, or perhaps some deeper psychological mechanism, can trigger healing. The placebo effect reveals that the boundary between mind and body is far more fluid than we imagine. It's a form of healing that works, yet we don't fully understand how or why. Fast radio bursts, millisecond blasts from across the cosmos. In 2007, astronomers discovered something strange in archived radio telescope data. A brilliant burst of radio waves lasting just a few milliseconds, but containing as much energy as the sun emits in 10,000 years. This was the first fast radio burst, or FRB, and it appeared to come from billions of light-years away. Since then, hundreds more have been detected. Fast radio bursts are among the most energetic events known to science, yet they last less time than an eye blink. Most appear once and never repeat, making them nearly impossible to predict or study in detail. A few FRBs have been observed repeating at irregular intervals, suggesting different types or causes. The source of these bursts is one of astronomy's hottest mysteries. Theories range from magnetars, neutron stars with incredibly powerful magnetic fields, to merging black holes, to more exotic possibilities like evaporating primordial black holes or even alien technology. The distances involved are staggering. These bursts originate from other galaxies entirely. Each detection raises new questions. Why do some repeat while others don't? What creates such concentrated energy? Fast radio bursts are windows into extreme physics. Events so powerful and brief, they challenge our instruments and theories. The Fermi paradox. Where is everyone in the universe? The universe is vast beyond comprehension, containing billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars. Many of these stars have planets, and a significant fraction likely exist in habitable zones where liquid water could exist. Given the age of the universe, 13.8 billion years, and the apparent ease with which life arose on Earth, we might expect the cosmos to be teeming with civilizations, yet we see no evidence of them. No radio signals, no megastructures, no visits. This contradiction is the Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who famously asked, "Where is everybody?" The silence is deafening and deeply puzzling. Even if intelligent life is rare, there has been plenty of time for civilizations to arise, develop technology, and spread across the galaxy. A civilization, only slightly more advanced than ours, could colonize the entire Milky Way in just a few million years, a blink of an eye in cosmic terms. Yet we appear to be alone. Many solutions have been proposed. Perhaps intelligent life is far rarer than we think, facing numerous great filters that prevent most civilizations from reaching our level. Maybe advanced civilizations destroy themselves before achieving interstellar travel. Perhaps they're out there, but choose not to communicate, observing us in silence. Some suggest they exist in forms we cannot recognize, or that they've transcended physical reality. The Fermi paradox remains one of the most profound mysteries we face, forcing us to confront our place, or lack thereof, in the cosmic story. Sleep paralysis, awake, but unable to move, often with hallucinations. Imagine waking in the night, your mind alert, but your body completely frozen. You cannot move your limbs, cannot speak, cannot even open your eyes fully. And then you sense a presence in the room, a shadow figure standing at the foot of your bed, a weight pressing down on your chest. This terrifying experience is sleep paralysis, and it's reported across all cultures throughout history. During sleep paralysis, the brain wakes while the body remains in the paralyzed state that normally accompanies REM sleep. This prevents us from acting out our dreams, but when it persists after waking, it creates a frightening disconnect. The person is conscious, but trapped in an unresponsive body. What makes it especially disturbing are the hallucinations that often accompany it. People report seeing shadowy figures, feeling presences, hearing footsteps or voices, or experiencing a crushing sensation on their chest. These hallucinations are remarkably consistent across cultures. Medieval Europeans called it being ridden by a witch. In Newfoundland, it's the old hag. In Japanese folklore, it's a spirit that suffocates sleepers. Scientists understand the mechanism, the overlap of waking consciousness and REM atonia. But why does it so consistently produce terrifying hallucinations? Why do these experiences feel more real than dreams? Sleep paralysis sits at the intersection of neuroscience and mystery, a state where the mind creates demons from its own confusion. Déjà vu, the eerie sensation of having lived this moment before you're in a conversation, visiting a new place, or simply going about your day when suddenly you're struck by an overwhelming feeling. You've been here before. You've had this exact conversation, seen this precise scene, lived this moment already. The sensation is so strong, it can stop you mid-sentence. This is déjà vu, French for already seen, and nearly everyone has experienced it. Déjà vu typically lasts only seconds, but in those moments, it can feel profound, almost mystical. Some people report feeling they can predict what will happen next, though this sensation usually proves false. The experience is common, occurring in about 60–80% of people, yet we don't fully understand what causes it. Neuroscientists have several theories. One suggests déjà vu occurs when there's a slight delay in neural processing, causing the brain to perceive a single experience twice. Another proposes it's related to memory encoding errors, where a new experience accidentally triggers the brain regions associated with familiarity. Some research connects it to the temporal lobes and suggests it might be related to epileptic activity in certain cases. Despite these theories, the subjective experience of déjà vu remains mysterious. Why does it feel so significant? Is it genuinely a memory glitch? Or could it reflect something deeper about how consciousness experiences time? The answer remains elusive. Rogue waves, monster swells that appear without warning. For centuries, sailors told stories of enormous walls of water, towering waves that appeared without warning from calm seas, dwarfing everything around them. These rogue waves were thought to be myths, exaggerations from frightened men. Then, on the 1st of January 1995, the Draupner oil platform in the North Sea recorded definitive proof. A wave measuring 84 feet high struck the platform, captured by instruments. Rogue waves were real. Rogue waves, also called freak waves, can be more than twice the height of surrounding waves. They appear suddenly, tower above ships, and can cause catastrophic damage before disappearing as quickly as they came. Modern analysis of satellite data suggests these waves are more common than previously thought, with several occurring daily across the world's oceans. What causes them remains partially mysterious. Sometimes, rogue waves form when multiple wave systems converge, their energies combining. Ocean currents can focus wave energy, creating larger swells. But not all rogue waves fit these explanations. Some appear in otherwise calm conditions. Their unpredictability makes them especially dangerous. Ships that encounter them have little time to react. Rogue waves are a reminder that the ocean still holds secrets, that nature can produce phenomena that seem impossible until they suddenly manifest, towering and terrifying. The Voynich manuscript, an undecipherable medieval book. In the early 15th century, someone created one of the world's most mysterious books. The Voynich manuscript, named after the antiquarian who purchased it in 1912, is a 240-page volume filled with strange illustrations and written in a language or code that no one has been able to decipher. The text flows naturally, following patterns consistent with real languages, yet it matches no known writing system. The manuscript is divided into sections. One appears to be about botany, with detailed drawings of plants that don't match any known species. Another section shows circular diagrams with astronomical or astrological content. There are images of bathing figures and pharmaceutical-looking recipes. The illustrations are as puzzling as the text, creating an atmosphere of arcane knowledge just beyond reach. Cryptographers, linguists, and computer scientists have all tried to crack the Voynich manuscript. Some believe it's a sophisticated cipher hiding real information. Others suggest it might be written in an obscure dialect or artificial language. A darker theory proposes it's an elaborate hoax, a meaningless string of symbols designed to look authentic. Carbon dating confirms the manuscript's age, and analysis of the text reveals statistical patterns consistent with natural language. Yet the meaning remains locked away. The Voynich manuscript is a time capsule of mystery, knowledge encoded so thoroughly that 6 centuries later, it remains unread. Animal migration, how creatures navigate across continents. Every year, billions of animals embark on epic journeys. Arctic terns fly from pole to pole, covering 44,000 miles. Monarch butterflies travel thousands of miles from Canada to specific trees in Mexico that they've never seen before. Salmon return from the ocean to spawn in the exact stream where they were born. These migrations are among nature's most impressive feats. Yet how animals navigate with such precision remains partially mysterious. Scientists have discovered multiple navigation mechanisms. Some birds use the Earth's magnetic field, possessing tiny magnetic crystals in their beaks that act like compasses. Others use the position of the sun and stars. Some fish follow scent trails in the water. Yet none of these mechanisms fully explain the accuracy of migration. How does a young cuckoo bird, which never meets its parents, know to fly thousands of miles to a specific wintering ground? How do sea turtles return to the beach where they hatched decades earlier? The precision suggests something beyond simple environmental cues. Some researchers propose that animals may have a sense we lack, an ability to perceive the Earth's magnetic field in ways far more sophisticated than we understand. Others wonder about quantum effects in biological systems or inherited memories passed through generations. Animal migration reveals that creatures possess navigational abilities that seem almost supernatural, guided by mechanisms we are only beginning to glimpse. The bloop, a mysterious ultra-low frequency sound from the ocean. In the summer of 1997, hydrophones thousands of miles apart in the Pacific Ocean detected a powerful, ultra-low frequency sound. The audio profile showed a rapid rise to peak frequency followed by a decay, lasting about 1 minute. Scientists at NOAA called it the bloop. The sound's characteristics suggested it came from a living creature, but if so, it would have to be far larger than any known animal, including blue whales. The bloop was loud enough to be heard by sensors more than 3,000 miles away. When plotted, its source appeared to be somewhere near the southern tip of South America. This location, combined with the sound's biological signature, sparked wild speculation. Could there be an undiscovered massive creature in the deep ocean? The idea captured imaginations worldwide. Years later, NOAA offered a more mundane explanation. The bloop, they suggested, was likely the sound of an iceberg fracturing and cracking, a phenomenon called an icequake. These events can produce sounds with similar characteristics to biological calls. Yet some mystery remains. The bloop's profile doesn't perfectly match other known icequake recordings. Its source, location, and the unique nature of the sound keep speculation alive. Whether icequake or unknown leviathan, the bloop reminds us that the ocean's depths remain largely unexplored, a realm where strange sounds echo through the darkness, their sources often uncertain. The Mpemba effect, hot water, sometimes freezes faster than cold. Common sense suggests that cold water should freeze faster than hot water. After all, it has less temperature to lose. Yet under certain conditions, hot water can freeze faster than cold water. This counterintuitive phenomenon is called the Mpemba effect, named after Erasto Mpemba, a Tanzanian student who observed it in 1963 while making ice cream. The effect has been documented throughout history. Aristotle mentioned it, Francis Bacon noted it, yet it remains controversial because it doesn't always occur. Sometimes hot water freezes faster, sometimes it doesn't. Conditions matter, but scientists haven't agreed on which conditions or why. Various explanations have been proposed. Perhaps evaporation reduces the volume of hot water, giving it less mass to freeze. Maybe convection currents in hot water create more efficient cooling. Some suggest dissolved gases play a role, or that hydrogen bonding behaves differently at different temperatures. Recent research points to complex interactions between multiple factors rather than a single cause. The Mpemba effect is frustrating because it seems simple, just compare freezing times. Yet the underlying physics is stubbornly complex. It's a reminder that even everyday phenomena can hide surprising depths. Ball lightning, glowing spheres that defy physics. We return to ball lightning because it deserves deeper exploration. These luminous spheres appear during thunderstorms, but behave in ways that shouldn't be possible. They pass through glass windows without breaking them. They float against the wind. They sometimes emit hissing sounds or odors. In rare cases, they've been reported inside aircraft cabins. One particularly well-documented case occurred in 1963 when a ball of light appeared inside a passenger aircraft flying over New York. Witnesses described a glowing sphere, about 20 centimeters in diameter, that emerged from the cockpit, floated down the aisle, and split into two smaller spheres, before disappearing toward the tail section. No damage occurred, no one was hurt, but dozens of witnesses confirmed the event. Creating stable, long-lasting plasma at atmospheric pressure requires immense energy. Ball lightning appears to violate basic physics by maintaining itself without an obvious power source. Some researchers have created short-lived luminous balls in laboratories using microwave energy or vaporized silicon, but none replicate the full range of reported behaviors. Ball lightning exists in a strange space between well-documented phenomenon and physical impossibility, challenging our understanding of plasma, energy, and atmospheric electricity. The Pioneer anomaly, spacecraft slowing down unexpectedly. In the 1,980 seconds scientists tracking the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft noticed something odd. These probes, launched in the early 1970 seconds to explore the outer solar system, were slowing down more than expected. The deceleration was tiny, about 1/10 billionth of Earth's gravity, but it was measurable and consistent. Something was causing drag where there shouldn't be any. The Pioneer anomaly sparked years of investigation and wild speculation. Could there be invisible dark matter creating drag? Was Einstein's theory of gravity slightly wrong at very large distances? Some wondered about dimensional leakage or other exotic physics. The mystery was compelling enough to inspire numerous research papers. Eventually, the explanation proved more mundane, but no less interesting. After exhaustive analysis of telemetry data and spacecraft construction, scientists concluded the anomaly was caused by thermal radiation. The spacecraft's radioactive power source emitted heat unevenly, creating a tiny but constant push in one direction, like a rocket nozzle. This thermal recoil exactly matched the observed deceleration. The Pioneer anomaly reminds us that mysterious observations don't always require revolutionary physics. Sometimes the answer is subtly hiding in plain sight, requiring only patience and careful analysis to uncover. Earthquake lights, luminous phenomena before and during quakes. For centuries, people have reported seeing strange lights before or during earthquakes. These earthquake lights take various forms: glowing orbs, sheet lightning-like flashes, or flickering columns of light rising from the ground. Skeptics long dismissed these reports as coincidence or misinterpretation, yet video evidence from recent earthquakes has confirmed that earthquake lights are real. During a 2007 earthquake in Peru, security cameras captured strange lightning-like flashes in the sky. The 2008 Sichuan earthquake in China was preceded by reports of colored lights. More recently, cameras recorded vivid blue and white flashes during earthquakes in Mexico and New Zealand. The phenomenon is rare but documented. What causes earthquake lights remains debated. One theory suggests that stress on certain rock types, particularly basalts and gabbros, generates electrical charges through the piezoelectric effect. These charges might ionize air pockets in the soil, creating luminous plasmas that rise to the surface. Another hypothesis involves the sudden release of radon gas from fractured rock. Some researchers propose that electromagnetic disturbances in the Earth's crust create electric fields strong enough to produce visible lights. Whatever the mechanism, earthquake lights represent a fascinating intersection of geology, atmospheric physics, and electrical phenomena. They remind us that Earth itself generates mysteries, lights born from the grinding of tectonic plates. Oumuamua, the interstellar visitor that acted strangely. In October 2017, astronomers discovered an object passing through our solar system, unlike anything seen before. Oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout, was the first confirmed interstellar object, a visitor from another star system. Its shape was extraordinary, roughly cigar-shaped and spinning rapidly, unlike typical asteroids or comets, but its trajectory proved even stranger. As Oumuamua left the solar system, it accelerated slightly, as if being pushed by some unseen force. Comets do this when ice on their surface vaporizes, creating tiny jets that act like rocket engines. But Oumuamua showed no tail, no coma of gas and dust that would indicate active outgassing. It had the acceleration of a comet, but the appearance of an asteroid. Speculation ran wild. Could it be artificial? Perhaps a light sail from an alien civilization? Scientist Avi Loeb famously proposed this idea, pointing to Oumuamua's unusual shape and acceleration as potentially consistent with a thin, artificial structure. Others suggested it might be a hydrogen iceberg or have an exotic composition that allows outgassing without visible coma. The truth is, we don't know. Oumuamua came and went too quickly for detailed study, leaving behind only data and questions. It was a messenger from interstellar space, but the message it carried remains mysterious. The sailing stones of Death Valley, rocks that move across desert. In a remote corner of Death Valley, on a flat, cracked lakebed called Racetrack Playa, rocks do something impossible. They move. Large stones, some weighing hundreds of pounds, glide across the desert floor, leaving long trails behind them. No one sees them move. No human force pushes them. Yet the evidence is undeniable. Rocks in different locations, each with a trail showing where it's been. For decades, the sailing stones were a complete mystery. Theories ranged from high winds to magnetic fields to, inevitably, aliens. The stones seemed to move during winter, but no one could catch them in action. The rocks' trails sometimes ran parallel, sometimes diverged, sometimes made right-angle turns. The patterns defied simple explanations. In 2014, scientists finally solved the mystery by installing GPS trackers and cameras. The explanation involved a precise combination of conditions. During winter, shallow water floods the playa. On cold nights, thin sheets of ice form. When the ice begins to break up, driven by light winds, these ice sheets push against the rocks, slowly sliding them across the wet, slippery surface. The stone's movement requires near-perfect conditions: water, ice, wind, and sun, all in the right sequence. It's a rare natural phenomenon that occurs perhaps once every few years, which is why no one ever witnessed it firsthand. The sailing stones remind us that sometimes the most alien-looking phenomena have earthly explanations. They're just far stranger than we imagine. The Taos hum revisited. When sound becomes torture, we must return to the phenomenon of mysterious hums, because in Taos, New Mexico, it became more than a curiosity. It became a crisis. In the early 1990 seconds, residents began complaining of a low-frequency rumbling that drove them to distraction. It was loud enough to interfere with sleep, concentration, and daily life. Yet when engineers and scientists arrived to investigate, their equipment detected nothing unusual. What made the Taos hum particularly frustrating was its selectivity. About 2% of residents could hear it clearly. The other 98% heard nothing at all. This led to tensions. Those suffering felt dismissed and disbelieved. Those unaffected wondered if the hum might be psychological. Congress even funded a study in the 1990 seconds, but investigators found no definitive source. The mystery deepens when you consider similar hums reported worldwide: Bristol, England; Kokomo, Indiana; Windsor, Ontario. Each location has its own hum, each affecting a small percentage of residents, each remaining unexplained despite investigation. Some researchers now believe the hum might not be external sound at all, but rather a form of tinnitus or a neurological response to electromagnetic fields. Others maintain it must be environmental, perhaps ultra-low frequency vibrations from industrial sources, geological activity, or atmospheric phenomena. The fact that we still don't know, decades after the problem emerged, shows how difficult it can be to study a phenomenon that only some people perceive. The hum continues to hum. Quantum entanglement. Spooky action at a distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and it troubled him until his death. Quantum entanglement describes a phenomenon where two particles become connected in such a way that measuring one instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. Change the state of one particle, and its entangled partner changes simultaneously, even if it's on the other side of the universe. This seems to violate the speed of light limit and common sense. Experiments have confirmed quantum entanglement repeatedly. Pairs of photons can be entangled so that measuring the polarization of one immediately determines the polarization of the other. The correlation is perfect and instantaneous, yet this doesn't allow faster-than-light communication because the measurement outcomes are random. You can't control what you'll measure, so you can't send information. What makes entanglement truly mysterious is what it implies about reality. Before measurement, entangled particles exist in superposition, simultaneously in multiple states. The act of measuring one particle collapses this superposition, instantly affecting its partner. But how? Through what mechanism? Space seems to play no role. The particles behave as if distance doesn't exist between them. Quantum entanglement has been verified across kilometers, in space, and in increasingly complex systems. We've learned to use it for quantum computing and cryptography. Yet explaining how it works, what's really happening when measurement occurs, remains one of physics' deepest mysteries. Reality, at the quantum level, is far stranger than the everyday world suggests. Naga fireballs, glowing orbs, rising from a river. Every year, in late October, thousands gather along the Mekong River in Thailand and Laos to witness the Naga fireballs. As night falls, glowing orbs rise from the river, reddish-orange spheres that float silently upward before vanishing into the darkness. Hundreds can appear in a single night, and locals believe they're produced by a mythical serpent, the Naga, living in the river. The phenomenon is real and well documented, captured on video numerous times. The fireballs emerge from the water's surface, float upward for a few hundred feet, then disappear. They make no sound. They appear randomly across miles of river. The question is, what are they? Scientific explanations focus on combustible gases. The river bottom contains organic matter that might produce methane or phosphine, gases that can spontaneously ignite in air. But this explanation has problems. Why do the fireballs appear only during the specific time of year? Why are they so consistent in appearance? Why don't they behave like typical combustion? Some skeptics suggest the lights are tracer rounds fired from the Laotian side of the river, a kind of tourist attraction. Yet fireballs were reported long before modern times, documented in ancient texts. The Naga fireballs remain a mystery wrapped in folklore, a natural phenomenon that science has struggled to fully explain. The Hessdalen lights return, a laboratory of mystery. The Hessdalen Valley deserves further attention because it has become something remarkable, a place where scientists can study unexplained phenomena systematically. Since 1998, an automated research station has monitored the valley continuously, recording the lights with multiple instruments. The data collected is extraordinary and deeply puzzling. The lights show intelligent-seeming behavior without being intelligent. They avoid obstacles. They sometimes appear to respond to laser pointers and radio transmissions, though this could be coincidence. Their electromagnetic signatures are unusual, showing characteristics of plasma, but also of solid objects. Spectrum analysis reveals they sometimes emit specific wavelengths corresponding to iron, silicon, and other elements. One hypothesis suggests the valley's unique geology creates a natural battery. Underground water flowing through mineral-rich rock might generate electrical current, which occasionally discharges as luminous plasma. Another theory proposes exotic physics involving piezoelectricity from tectonic stress. Some researchers even wonder about ball lightning or a related atmospheric electrical phenomenon. The Hessdalen lights are important because they're repeatable, observable, and scientifically documented. Yet, after decades of study, they remain unexplained. They offer a glimpse into how much we still don't understand about Earth's natural electrical phenomena. The placebo effect's dark twin, nocebo, if belief, can heal. Can it also harm? The nocebo effect is the placebo's sinister mirror. When people expect negative outcomes, those outcomes often materialize. Patients warned about side effects experience them more frequently than those not warned, even when taking inert substances. The mind creates the suffering it anticipates. Studies reveal disturbing examples. People told a fake magnetic field might cause headaches develop real headaches, measurable by brain scans, even though no magnetic field exists. Patients informed that a procedure will be painful report more pain than those told it will be comfortable, even when the procedure is identical. The nocebo effect can trigger nausea, fatigue, pain, and even measurable physiological changes. What makes nocebo deeply mysterious is its mechanism. We understand that expectations activate brain regions associated with anticipated experiences. But why would the brain create actual suffering? Some researchers suggest it's related to evolutionary preparedness, the body preemptively activating defense systems when threat is expected. Others point to the powerful role of conditioning and learned associations. The nocebo effect reveals that consciousness doesn't just perceive reality, it shapes it. The boundary between psychological expectation and physical manifestation is frighteningly thin. Our beliefs about what will happen can literally make it happen, for better or worse. Hyper-realistic dreams. When sleep becomes indistinguishable from waking. Most dreams are obviously dreams. They're fragmentary, illogical, easily forgotten. But some people regularly experience hyper-realistic dreams. Sleep experience is so vivid and coherent, they're indistinguishable from waking life. The dreamer moves through fully realized environments with perfect detail, interacting with dream characters who seem genuinely autonomous. Upon waking, distinguishing the dream from memory becomes difficult. Hyper-realistic dreams often include sensations usually absent from normal dreams. Reading text that remains stable, looking at clocks that work properly, experiencing pain, taste, and smell with waking-like intensity. Some dreamers report living entire days or even longer periods in dreams, complete with emotional continuity and logical progression. The experience can be disturbing because it challenges the fundamental distinction between real and imagined. Neuroscience shows that during REM sleep, the brain is nearly as active as when awake. The visual cortex, auditory centers, and emotional processing regions light up intensely. What's missing is activation in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for critical thinking and reality testing. This explains why normal dreams feel real while we're in them. But why some people experience such heightened realism remains unclear. Is it increased sensory processing during sleep? Enhanced memory integration? Some researchers connect it to thin boundaries between mental states, a psychological trait where distinctions between sleeping and waking, self and other, reality and fantasy are more permeable. Hyper-realistic dreams remind us that consciousness can generate entire worlds, experiences as rich as waking life, from nothing but neural activity. The Dyatlov Pass incident. 9 hikers who died mysteriously. In February 1959, 9 experienced Soviet hikers died under bizarre circumstances in the Ural Mountains. When their camp was discovered, investigators found the tent had been cut open from inside. The hikers had fled into the freezing night, inadequately dressed. Their bodies were found scattered, some showing strange injuries, fractured skulls, broken ribs, one missing her tongue. Yet there were no external wounds, no signs of struggle. The official investigation concluded they died from a compelling natural force. The Dyatlov Pass incident has spawned countless theories. Avalanche seems plausible, but the tent wasn't buried, and experienced mountaineers would recognize avalanche danger. Animal attack doesn't explain the specific injuries or lack of external wounds. Some suggested infrasound from wind across the mountain might have caused panic, as low-frequency sound can trigger fear and disorientation. Others pointed to military testing, perhaps a parachute mine exploding, explaining the internal injuries without external wounds. Recent research proposed that a rare type of avalanche, delayed by hours after the tent was cut, might explain events. But this doesn't address all anomalies. The unusual pattern of injuries, the traces of radioactivity found on some clothing, witness reports of strange lights in the sky that night. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains controversial because no single explanation fits all evidence. It's a Rorschach test of mystery, where each investigator sees their preferred answer. The hikers took their truth to their graves, leaving only questions on that lonely mountainside. Exploding head syndrome, loud imaginary bangs. When falling asleep, imagine lying in bed, drifting towards sleep, when suddenly you're jolted awake by a loud bang, like a gunshot or explosion. Your heart races. You're certain something real happened, yet the house is quiet. No one else heard anything. You've experienced exploding head syndrome, a harmless but startling phenomenon that affects up to 10–15% of people. Despite its alarming name, exploding head syndrome causes no pain. People report hearing sudden loud noises, explosions, crashes, door slams, cymbals clashing. Some see flashes of light simultaneously. The experience is completely internal, a misfire in the brain as it transitions between waking and sleep. Yet it feels utterly real. The cause remains uncertain. One theory suggests it's related to the reticular formation, a part of the brainstem that regulates sleep-wake transitions. As this region shuts down for sleep, neurons might fire chaotically, creating the perception of sound. Another hypothesis points to sudden muscle movements in the middle ear. Whatever the mechanism, exploding head syndrome illustrates how consciousness creates sensory experience. The noise never exists outside the mind, yet it's perceived as clearly as any real sound. The brain constructs reality so convincingly that it sometimes constructs experiences with no external source whatsoever. Dark energy, the force accelerating the universe's expansion. In the late 1992, astronomers made a shocking discovery. The universe isn't just expanding, its expansion is accelerating. Galaxies are moving apart faster and faster. This acceleration shouldn't happen. Gravity should be slowing expansion down. Yet observations of distant supernovae confirmed the impossible. Something is pushing the universe apart. That something is called dark energy, and it's even more mysterious than dark matter. Dark energy appears to fill all of space, exerting a kind of anti-gravity that overwhelms the attractive force of matter over large distances. It makes up roughly 68% of the universe's total energy, yet we have no idea what it is. The leading candidate is the cosmological constant, an intrinsic energy of empty space itself. Einstein proposed this concept, then abandoned it, calling it his greatest blunder. Now it seems he might have been right after all, but the numbers don't work. Quantum field theory predicts the cosmological constant should be enormous, yet dark energy is extraordinarily weak. The discrepancy is 120 orders of magnitude, the worst prediction in physics. Alternative theories propose dark energy might be a new field or force, or that our understanding of gravity breaks down at cosmic scales. We're watching the universe accelerate into an ever-expanding future, driven by something we cannot identify, see, or explain. Dark energy is the ultimate cosmic mystery. Déjà vu's rare variant, jamais vu. While most people know déjà vu, its prey, opposite, jamais vu, is equally strange. Jamais vu, French for never seen, occurs when a familiar situation suddenly feels completely alien. You look at a word you've written and it appears wrong, misspelled, even though it's correct. You arrive home and the door seems unfamiliar. A loved one's face briefly appears foreign. Jamais vu can be deeply unsettling. The recognition systems in the brain temporarily fail, stripping away familiarity. What should be known becomes unknown. The experience usually lasts only moments, but those moments can be profoundly disorienting. Some describe it as feeling like a stranger in their own life. Researchers have induced jamais vu experimentally by having people repeat a word over and over. Eventually, the word becomes meaningless sounds. This is called semantic satiation, a temporary loss of meaning through repetition. But spontaneous jamais vu involves no repetition. The brain simply fails to activate the sense of familiarity. One theory suggests jamais vu might be a kind of perceptual reset, the brain briefly questioning its assumptions about reality. We rely on recognition to navigate the world efficiently. When that system glitches, even for seconds, it reveals how much of our sense of reality is constructed by the mind rather than directly perceived. Jamais vu is a window into the brain's reality-building machinery catching its breath. The wow signal revisited, echoes that never returned. The wow signal demands deeper consideration because it represents something profound, the possibility of contact. For those 72 seconds in 1977, humanity might have received a message from another civilization. The signal had all the right characteristics. It was narrow-band, artificial-looking. It appeared at a frequency protected from terrestrial transmission. Its intensity suggested enormous power or a directed beam. What makes the wow signal particularly tantalizing is what happened after. Astronomers immediately tried to find it again, pointing telescopes at the same region of sky. Nothing. Follow-up observations over days, weeks, years found no repetition. That area of space has been monitored extensively. The signal never returned. Was it a one-time transmission? A rotating beacon that happens to point toward Earth only briefly? Or was it something else entirely? Recent analysis suggested the signal might have come from a sun-like star with a planetary system, increasing the intrigue. Other researchers propose it could have been a reflection off space debris or a rare natural phenomenon. The frustrating truth is, we'll likely never know for certain. The wow signal remains a tantalizing maybe, a moment when we might have touched another intelligence, or might have glimpsed something equally fascinating but entirely natural. In the silence that followed, it left behind only wonder and longing. Synesthesia, when senses blend into each other. For most people, senses are separate. We see colors, hear sounds, taste flavors, each distinct. But some people experience synesthesia, a blending of senses, where stimulation of one sense triggers experiences in another. They might see colors when they hear music, taste shapes, feel textures from words. Numbers might have personalities or colors. The variations are endless. Synesthesia isn't metaphorical or imaginative. Synesthetes experience genuine cross-sensory perceptions. When they say the number 5 is green, they actually perceive green, automatically and consistently. Brain imaging confirms that synesthetes show activation in visual areas when hearing sounds. or activation in taste areas when seeing numbers. The extrasensory experiences are neurologically real. What causes synesthesia remains debated. One theory suggests increased connectivity between brain regions, where areas that should be separate remain linked from childhood. Another proposes that everyone has these connections at birth, but most people lose them during development, while synesthetes retain them. About 4% of people experience some form of synesthesia, though many don't realize it's unusual until adulthood. Synesthesia reveals that perception is more flexible than we assume. The boundaries between senses are not as fixed as they seem. The brain can blend, merge, and translate between sensory modalities in ways that create entirely unique versions of reality. Each synesthete inhabits a slightly different perceptual world than the rest of us. The Baltimore stockbroker scam, predicting the impossible. This isn't a natural phenomenon, but it reveals something important about mystery and belief. The Baltimore stockbroker scam works like this. A con artist contacts 10,000 people with stock predictions. Half receive a prediction that a stock will rise, half that it will fall. After the first week, the con artist only contacts the 5,000 who received the correct prediction. They send these people another prediction, again split 50-50. After several rounds, about 150 people have received multiple consecutive correct predictions. To them, the con artist appears psychic. This scam illustrates a crucial principle. Apparent patterns can emerge from randomness. When we don't see the full picture, when we don't know about the thousands who received wrong predictions, the success rate seems miraculous. This applies to many unexplained phenomena. We remember hits and forget misses. We notice coincidences but ignore the countless times coincidences didn't occur. The Baltimore stockbroker scam reminds us to be skeptical, but also curious. Not every mystery has a mundane explanation, but many do. The challenge is distinguishing between genuine anomalies and the inevitable patterns that emerge from large numbers of events. Sometimes what appears impossible is simply improbable, and improbable things happen constantly in a universe vast enough. The scam teaches us about human psychology and perception, as much as about deception. Bimini Road, underwater rock formation, or ancient highway. Off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas lies a peculiar underwater formation. Rectangular limestone blocks arranged in a line, looking remarkably like an ancient road. The Bimini Road, or Bimini Wall, stretches about 800 meters and has sparked decades of debate. Is it a natural geological formation or evidence of a prehistoric civilization? The blocks are too regular to seem random. They're aligned with right angles and appear purposefully placed. This has led some to propose they're remnants of Atlantis or another lost civilization, perhaps 10,000 years old or older. Others point to the site's location and the prophecy of psychic Edgar Cayce, who, in the 1930 seconds, claimed Atlantis would be rediscovered near Bimini. The discovery in 1968 seemed to validate his prediction. Geologists, however, offer a natural explanation. The blocks are limestone bedrock, specifically beach rock, a type of limestone that forms in intertidal zones. Natural weathering creates fractures in rectangular patterns through a process called joint formation. As sea levels rose after the last ice age, this fractured beach rock was submerged, creating the appearance of constructed blocks. Core samples show the blocks are attached to the underlying bedrock, suggesting natural formation rather than placed stones. Yet some anomalies remain. The regularity is striking. Some blocks appear to have tool marks, though these could be modern damage from anchors or divers. The Bimini Road illustrates how geology can mimic design, creating patterns that look intentional but arise from natural processes. It's a reminder that Earth itself is an artist, sculpting formations that spark our imaginations. The Ubaid lizardmen, ancient figurines of reptilian humanoids. In the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, archaeologists have discovered strange figurines from the Ubaid period, roughly 7,000 years ago. These statues depict humanoid figures with elongated, reptilian heads, slender bodies, and sometimes what appear to be lizard-like features. Some hold babies that also have reptilian features. The figurines are found in both sacred and domestic contexts. Who or what do these figurines represent? Some archaeologists suggest they depict worshippers or priests wearing ceremonial masks or headdresses, perhaps representing deities or spirits. The Ubaid culture predates written records, so we have no texts explaining their meaning. They could be mythological beings, representations of clan totems, or symbolic figures in religious practices. Inevitably, the lizardmen have attracted fringe theories. Could they be evidence that ancient people encountered non-human intelligent beings, reptilian aliens, or a lost species of humanoids? More seriously, some researchers propose they might represent a shamanic tradition where spiritual leaders took on animal aspects. Others suggest they could be goddess figurines, fertility symbols where the lizard represents regeneration. The truth is, we don't know. The Ubaid lizardmen remain enigmatic artifacts from a civilization that left no written explanation. They remind us that human cultures throughout history have created representations that seem alien to us, embodying beliefs and meanings we can only guess at. They're a mystery not of physics or nature, but of human culture and ancient minds. The double-slit experiment, reality that changes when observed. No discussion of mysteries would be complete without the double-slit experiment, quantum mechanics' most famous puzzle. Fire particles, like electrons, at a barrier with two slits. Common sense says each particle goes through one slit or the other. But when you don't observe which slit they pass through, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern as if each particle goes through both slits simultaneously. The truly mysterious part comes when you add detection. Place a detector to see which slit each particle uses. The interference pattern vanishes. The particles suddenly behave like particles again, each going through only one slit. The act of observation changes the outcome, not because the detector disturbs the particles mechanically, but because observation itself seems to collapse the wave function, forcing reality to choose. This has been verified countless times, with photons, electrons, atoms, even molecules. The effect is real and reproducible. But what does it mean? Does consciousness play a role in reality? Does the universe exist in superposition, all possibilities simultaneously, until observation forces it to choose? Various interpretations offer different answers. Copenhagen, many worlds, pilot wave theory. Each explains the mathematics, but leaves philosophical questions unanswered. The double-slit experiment shows that at the quantum level, reality is fundamentally different from everyday experience. Matter exists as probability until measured. Observation isn't passive, it's creative, bringing specific outcomes into existence from a field of possibilities. The Taos hums global network, a phenomenon without borders. We return once more to mysterious hums because new research reveals something fascinating. The hum isn't isolated to a few locations. It's global. Using data from social media, forums, and reports, researchers have mapped thousands of cases worldwide. The distribution suggests patterns, but no clear source. Some hum locations cluster near industrial sites, supporting the theory of mechanical origin. Others occur in remote areas far from civilization. Interestingly, Many reports come from near coastlines or large bodies of water. This has led to hypotheses about oceanic sources, perhaps low-frequency sounds from underwater geological activity, shipping traffic, or even aquatic life. Whales and other marine animals produce extremely low-frequency sounds that travel vast distances underwater and might be detectable on land under certain conditions. Another possibility involves the Earth's magnetic field. Some researchers propose that electromagnetic activity in the ionosphere might generate very low-frequency sound waves that propagate through the ground. People sensitive to these frequencies might perceive them as the hum. This would explain why it affects only certain individuals and why it seems to be everywhere, yet nowhere specifically. The global nature of the hum phenomenon suggests it might be multiple different phenomena sharing similar characteristics. In some locations, it might be industrial, in others, natural. Some cases might be tinnitus, others genuine environmental sound. The hum reminds us that not every mystery has a single answer. Reality is often more complex, with different causes producing similar effects. Savant syndrome, extraordinary abilities from brain differences. Some individuals possess abilities that seem superhuman. They can calculate massive prime numbers instantly in their heads, draw entire cityscapes from memory after seeing them once, play complex piano pieces perfectly after hearing them a single time, remember every day of their life in perfect detail. These are savants, people with extraordinary abilities in specific areas, often accompanying developmental conditions like autism. What makes savant abilities mysterious is their specificity and suddenness. Some savants have their abilities from birth. Others acquire them after brain injuries or illnesses, a phenomenon called acquired savant syndrome. After a head trauma or stroke, a person who was musically average suddenly plays piano brilliantly, or a non-artist begins creating detailed, skilled artwork. The injury seems to unlock latent abilities. One theory suggests that everyone has these capabilities dormant in their brains, but they're normally suppressed by higher-level processing. The left hemisphere constantly interprets and filters information. In savants, this filtering might be reduced, allowing direct access to raw processing power. Brain imaging shows that some savants use different brain regions than typical people when performing tasks, suggesting alternative neural pathways. Savant syndrome raises profound questions about human potential. Are these abilities genuinely extraordinary, or do they reveal capacities that exist in everyone but remain buried? Why does damage to some brain regions unlock rather than diminish abilities? Savants show us that the human brain contains depths of ability we don't understand, capabilities that emerge under mysterious circumstances, revealing that human potential might be far greater than everyday experience suggests. The Eye of the Sahara, mysterious bull's eye in the desert. In the heart of the Sahara Desert in Mauritania lies one of Earth's most striking geological formations. The Richat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a massive circular formation nearly 50 kilometers across. From space, it looks like a bull's eye, or a giant eye staring upward, with concentric rings of different colored rock radiating from the center. For years, the eye's origin was mysterious. Its perfect circularity suggested an impact crater from an asteroid or comet. But there's no evidence of impact, no shocked quartz, no meteorite fragments, no ejected material. The structure is too symmetrical and flat. Impact craters have raised rims and disturbed geology that the Richat structure lacks. Current consensus suggests the eye is a deeply eroded geological dome. About 100 million years ago, molten rock pushed upward but never reached the surface, creating a dome of layered rock. Over millions of years, erosion wore away the softer layers, leaving the harder layers as concentric rings. The result is a natural formation so geometric it looks artificial from space. Yet some researchers remain puzzled by specific details. The exceptional circularity, the perfect centering, the lack of similar structures elsewhere. A few fringe theorists, inevitably, suggest it could be the remains of Atlantis, pointing to its size and circular pattern matching Plato's description. While mainstream science rejects this, the Eye of the Sahara remains a reminder that Earth creates wonders that look too perfect to be natural, formations so striking they seem designed. Colony collapse disorder, the vanishing bees. Beginning around 2006, beekeepers worldwide reported something alarming. Entire hives were dying, but not in typical ways. Worker bees simply vanished, leaving behind healthy queens, plenty of food, and young bees. The adult workers disappeared without trace, abandoning their colonies to certain death. This phenomenon, called colony collapse disorder, threatened agriculture that depends on bee pollination. The mystery of CCD lies in its sudden onset and lack of clear cause. Bees face multiple stressors: pesticides, parasites, diseases, habitat loss, climate change. But CCD seemed different, more catastrophic and puzzling. Researchers have identified several contributing factors. Neonicotinoid pesticides affect bee navigation and immune systems. Varroa mites spread viruses. Monoculture farming reduces nutritional diversity. But why worker bees abandon their hives rather than simply die in place remains unclear. One hypothesis suggests that combined stressors overwhelm bees' navigation and homing abilities. Disoriented and poisoned, they can't find their way back to the hive. They die alone in the field rather than in the colony. Another theory points to viruses that specifically affect behavior, causing bees to leave to prevent spreading infection. Recent research shows CCD has declined, as some pesticides were banned, suggesting chemical stress played a major role. But mystery remains. We still don't fully understand why colonies collapse suddenly rather than declining gradually. Why do some hives survive in the same conditions where others fail? Colony collapse disorder reminds us that ecosystems are delicately balanced. Small changes can cascade into catastrophes. The disappearing bees are a warning that we're disrupting natural systems in ways we don't fully comprehend. Gravity's weakness. Why is it so feeble compared to other forces? Of the four fundamental forces, gravity is by far the weakest, absurdly weak. A tiny refrigerator magnet can overcome the gravitational pull of the entire Earth. The electromagnetic force is about 10 to the 36th power stronger than gravity. The strong nuclear force is even more powerful. Why is gravity so pathetically feeble? This isn't just an academic question. The weakness of gravity is a profound mystery in physics. It suggests something fundamental about the universe that we're missing. One possibility is that gravity only seems weak because most of its strength is leaking into extra dimensions that we can't perceive. In some theoretical models, our universe is a three-dimensional membrane floating in higher dimensional space. Gravity spreads through all dimensions, while other forces are confined to our three-dimensional reality, making gravity seem weaker by comparison. Another hypothesis involves the hierarchy problem in particle physics. The mass of the Higgs boson is much lighter than theories predict it should be. Something must be cancelling out the enormous quantum corrections that should make it impossibly heavy. The same mathematics that makes the Higgs mass puzzling also relates to gravity's weakness. Solutions like supersymmetry or technicolor have been proposed but remain unproven. Gravity's weakness is frustrating because it makes gravity incredibly difficult to study at quantum scales. We can't do tabletop experiments with quantum gravity. We need entire galaxies or black holes to see strong gravitational effects. This weakness has prevented us from unifying gravity with the other forces into a single theory. It's a gap in our understanding, a hint that reality has layers we haven't yet discovered. Sleep, why we spend a third of our lives unconscious. Every animal sleeps or does something similar. Humans spend roughly 1/3 of their lives unconscious. Sleep leaves us vulnerable, unproductive, and unaware. From an evolutionary perspective, it seems disastrous. The fact that sleep is universal across the animal kingdom suggests it must be absolutely essential. Yet we still don't fully understand why. We know sleep is crucial. Deprive someone of sleep, and they develop serious health problems. Impaired cognition, weakened immune system, increased disease risk, psychological issues. Extreme sleep deprivation can be fatal. But what is sleep actually doing? Why can't the brain perform these functions while awake? Multiple theories exist. Sleep appears essential for memory consolidation, transferring information from short-term to long-term storage. It clears metabolic waste from the brain through the glymphatic system. It regulates hormones, repairs tissues, and may help prune unnecessary neural connections. But none of these fully explain why consciousness must shut down. Why couldn't evolution develop a brain that operates 24/7? One intriguing hypothesis suggests sleep allows the brain to process information offline, integrating new experiences with existing knowledge in ways impossible during waking. Another proposes sleep might be when consciousness briefly disconnects from the physical brain, allowing neural reset. The mystery of sleep is that it's simultaneously well-studied and deeply puzzling. We can measure brain waves, identify sleep stages, understand some functions, yet the fundamental question why consciousness must regularly cease remains unanswered. The Antikythera mechanism, ancient computer predating its era by centuries. In 1901, divers exploring a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera found a corroded lump of bronze. Decades later, X-ray analysis revealed something extraordinary, a complex, mechanical device with dozens of gears, likely the world's first analog computer, created around 100 BCE. The Antikythera mechanism predicted astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. The device's sophistication is shocking. It uses differential gearing, a technique not seen again until the 1500s. It models the irregular motion of the moon with remarkable accuracy. It tracks the 4-year Olympic cycle. Reconstructions show it had at least 37 gears, possibly more, all crafted with extraordinary precision. Whoever built it had deep knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. What makes the Antikythera mechanism mysterious is its uniqueness. No similar devices are known from antiquity. Ancient texts mention mechanical marvels, but none describe anything this advanced. Why do we have only one example? Was such technology more common but rarely survived? Or was this a singular achievement, knowledge that was lost? The Romans, who came later, had nothing comparable. The mechanism represents a technological peak that wouldn't be reached again for over 1,000 years. The device reminds us that ancient peoples were far more sophisticated than we sometimes assume. It also shows how easily knowledge can vanish. One shipwreck preserved this marvel. How many others were lost? What other technologies did ancient civilizations develop that left no trace? The Antikythera mechanism is a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been a path of development that, for whatever reason, wasn't followed. The Mongolian death worm, cryptid of the Gobi Desert. In the Gobi Desert Local legends speak of a creature called Olgoi korkoi, the intestine worm. Described as a thick-bodied worm about 2 feet long, blood red in color, said to live in the sand and emerge during the hottest months. Witnesses claim it can kill at a distance, either by spraying venom or emitting electrical discharges. The Mongolian deathworm has never been captured or photographed, yet belief in it remains strong. Western interest in the deathworm began in the 1922, when paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews mentioned it in his books about Mongolia. He was skeptical, but noted that locals universally believed in the creature and would not enter certain areas where it was said to dwell. Several expeditions have searched for evidence, finding none. Skeptics suggest the deathworm might be misidentification of known animals. The Tatar sand boa is a thick-bodied snake found in the region that could match the description. When threatened, it raises its tail, which might be interpreted as a head. Other candidates include worm lizards, or even exaggerated descriptions of large invertebrates. The electrical killing might be folklore elaboration, yet the persistence and consistency of reports is intriguing. Multiple cultures across the Gobi region describe the same creature with similar characteristics. Believers point out that the desert is vast and underexplored, and new species are discovered regularly. Could a large, venomous invertebrate, perhaps a specialized worm or amphibian adapted to desert life, exist undiscovered? The Mongolian deathworm remains in that liminal space between folklore and possibility, a reminder that unexplored places might still harbor surprises. The consciousness problem. Why subjective experience exists at all. Perhaps the deepest mystery in science is consciousness itself. We experience qualia, the redness of red, the pain of pain, the taste of chocolate. These subjective experiences feel irreducibly real, yet they're invisible to external observers and seemingly unexplainable by physics. Why does the physical brain produce subjective experience? Why is there something it's like to be you? This is called the hard problem of consciousness, distinguished from easier problems like explaining how the brain processes information or controls behavior. We can imagine a philosophical zombie, a being physically identical to a human that behaves identically, but has no inner experience. Nothing it's like to be it. But we're not zombies. We have rich inner lives. Why? Various theories attempt to explain consciousness. Some propose it emerges from information integration in complex systems. Others suggest quantum effects in microtubules within neurons play a role. Panpsychists argue consciousness is fundamental, a property of matter itself that accumulates in complex systems. Illusionists claim consciousness as we understand it is actually an illusion, a trick the brain plays on itself. None of these theories is fully satisfying. We can correlate brain states with conscious experiences. We can identify which regions activate during different thoughts, but correlation isn't explanation. The gap between neural firing and the felt sense of experience remains unbridged. Consciousness is the mystery we're living inside, the most immediate and undeniable fact of existence, yet the one we understand least. Every thought you have, every sensation, every moment of awareness is a mystery unfolding in real time. The cicada's prime number life cycle, mathematical survival strategy. In North American forests, certain species of cicadas live underground as nymphs for exactly 13 or 17 years before emerging en masse to mate. These numbers are prime, and that's not coincidence. The cicada's life cycle represents one of nature's most elegant mathematical strategies, yet we still don't fully understand why these specific primes were selected. The prime number cycle, is thought to help cicadas avoid predators and parasites that have shorter, non-prime life cycles. A predator with a 4-year cycle would sync with a 12-year cicada every 12 years, but would rarely sync with a 13-year cicada. The prime number reduces overlap with potential threats. This is mathematically sound, but it raises questions. How did evolution produce such mathematical precision? How did natural selection discover prime numbers? Moreover, why 13 and 17 specifically? Smaller primes like 7 or 11 would provide protection. The long life cycle seems unnecessarily risky. 17 years underground, exposed to disease, predation, and environmental changes. The answer might lie in a trade-off between predator avoidance and resource accumulation. Longer cycles allow nymphs to grow larger, producing more fit adults. The specific primes might represent optimal points in this trade-off, but this is still speculation. The cicada's prime number cycle is a wonder of evolutionary mathematics, a solution so elegant it seems designed. It demonstrates that natural selection can produce outcomes that appear to require mathematical understanding, even though no understanding exists. The cicadas don't know they're using primes. Yet the strategy works perfectly, refined over millions of years into one of nature's most beautiful mysteries, the Mariana Trench. Sounds from the deepest place on Earth. The Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the world's oceans, plunging nearly 36,000 feet below the surface. It's a realm of crushing pressure and perpetual darkness, hostile to life as we know it. Yet when scientists lowered hydrophones into the trench, they detected sounds, haunting, mysterious sounds that shouldn't exist in such a place. Some sounds match known sources, the calls of baleen whales, the rumble of earthquakes, the groans of shifting ice. But other recordings defy easy explanation. Metallic screeches, strange moans, patterns that almost sound biological, but match no known creature. The trench is largely unexplored, its depths impossible for humans to reach except in specialized submersibles. What lives down there remains mostly unknown. The mysterious sounds might come from undiscovered species. The deep ocean continues to reveal new life forms, creatures adapted to extreme pressure and darkness. Or the sounds might be geological, the grinding of tectonic plates, the collapse of underwater caverns, the movement of sediment in ways that create acoustic phenomena. Some researchers even wonder about the possibility of unique deep-sea acoustic effects, where the extreme pressure and temperature gradients create sound propagation we don't fully understand. The Mariana Trench keeps its secrets, sending strange songs upward from the abyss. Phantom limb sensation, feeling what isn't there. After amputation, up to 80% of people experience phantom limb sensations. They feel their missing limb is still present. They can sense its position, feel it move, experience touch, itching, or pain in an arm or leg that no longer exists. The sensations can be so vivid that people reach out with phantom hands or try to walk on phantom legs. What makes phantom limbs mysterious is their reality to those experiencing them. Brain imaging shows that when a phantom limb moves, the motor cortex activates as if the limb were real. When it hurts, pain centers light up. The brain maintains a map of the body, and after amputation, this map doesn't immediately update. The missing limb remains represented neurologically, even after it's physically gone. Some phantom sensations can be helped by mirror therapy, where a mirror creates the visual illusion that the missing limb has returned. Watching the reflection of their intact limb, patients can move their phantom limb and sometimes relieve phantom pain. This suggests that vision can override proprioceptive maps in the brain, retraining the neural representation. Yet questions remain. Why do some people experience vivid phantoms, while others feel nothing? Why does phantom pain sometimes intensify years after amputation? Some amputees report their phantom limb gradually shrinking or telescoping into their body over time. Others experience it unchanged for decades. Phantom limbs reveal how powerfully the brain constructs body awareness, and how this construction can persist even when the physical reality changes. The body you experience is as much neural representation as physical fact. The Library of Ashurbanipal, ancient knowledge lost to fire. In 1849, archaeologists excavating Nineveh in modern-day Iraq discovered something extraordinary: the Library of Ashurbanipal, the last great king of Assyria. The library contained thousands of clay tablets, one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. Among them was the Epic of Gilgamesh, humanity's oldest known literary work, and countless texts on medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and magic. But here's the tragedy. The library was destroyed by fire when Nineveh fell in 612 BCE. Ironically, the fire preserved the clay tablets by baking them, but it also represents an incalculable loss of knowledge. The tablets we have are a fraction of what existed. Many were broken or damaged. The fire destroyed papyrus scrolls and wooden tablets that contained who knows what wisdom. What makes this particularly mysterious is what we find hints of in surviving fragments. References to astronomical observations that suggest sophisticated understanding, medical texts describing surgical procedures and pharmaceuticals, mathematical tablets showing advanced calculation methods. These fragments suggest that ancient Mesopotamian knowledge was far more extensive than the surviving record indicates. How much did the ancient world know that we've lost? The Library of Ashurbanipal is just one example. The Library of Alexandria's destruction, the burning of Mayan codices by Spanish conquistadors, the loss of countless other archives to war, fire, and time. We're looking at human history through a keyhole, seeing only the tiny fraction of knowledge that survived. The mystery isn't just what the ancients knew, but how much we'll never know they knew. Yawning, the contagious behavior we can't explain. Yawning is universal across vertebrates. Fish yawn, birds yawn, mammals yawn, humans yawn before birth, detectable in ultrasounds of fetuses. Yet despite its universality, we don't fully understand why yawning exists, or why it's so contagious. The traditional explanation, that yawning increases oxygen to the brain, has been largely debunked. Studies show yawning doesn't significantly change blood oxygen levels. Alternative theories suggest yawning helps cool the brain, increasing blood flow and allowing cooler air into nasal passages. This might explain why yawning increases when people are tired or bored, states associated with elevated brain temperature. But what about contagious yawning? Seeing someone yawn, hearing a yawn, even reading about yawning can trigger the behavior. This social aspect suggests yawning might have evolved as a form of unconscious communication, perhaps signaling tiredness to a group or synchronizing sleep schedules in social species. Studies show that contagious yawning is linked to empathy. People who score higher on empathy tests are more susceptible to catching yawns. Interestingly, contagious yawning appears unique to a few species: humans, chimpanzees, dogs, and possibly wolves. Dogs even catch yawns from humans, suggesting the mechanism evolved to strengthen social bonds. Yet the neural pathways remain unclear. Why does seeing a yawn activate our own yawning response? What purpose does this serve? Yawning is such a common, simple behavior that its mystery is easy to overlook. but it represents gaps in our understanding of basic human physiology and social psychology. The Fermi paradox revisited. The great filter. Let's return to the Fermi paradox, because recent thinking has made it more troubling. The concept of the great filter suggests that somewhere between the emergence of life and galaxy-spanning civilization, there's a step so difficult that it filters out nearly everyone. The question is, where is this filter? If the filter is behind us, something about the emergence of intelligent, technological life is extraordinarily rare. Perhaps the jump from single-celled to multicellular life is incredibly unlikely, or the development of intelligence, or the specific circumstances that led to human technological civilization. This would be comforting because it means we've already passed the great test. The galaxy is empty because intelligent life is rare, but we're here. We made it. But if the filter is ahead of us, that's terrifying. It would suggest that intelligent civilizations regularly arise in the universe, but consistently destroy themselves or get destroyed before achieving interstellar capability. Nuclear war, climate catastrophe, artificial intelligence gone wrong, some other existential risk we haven't imagined. The silence of the cosmos would be a warning. This is where civilizations end. The absence of evidence for alien civilizations is data, and it's not encouraging data. The Drake equation suggests the galaxy should be full of technological civilizations, yet we see nothing. Either intelligent life is far rarer than we think, or something prevents civilizations from becoming visible on galactic scales. The great filter might be waiting for us, a test we're approaching and don't know we're about to take. The Fermi paradox isn't just about aliens, it's about our own future. Crop circles, art, hoax, or unknown phenomenon. In the 1970 seconds and 80 seconds, farmers in England began discovering intricate patterns pressed into their crop fields overnight. Crop circles, some simple, others geometrically complex, appeared without witnesses. The phenomenon spread globally, with thousands of formations documented. While many were revealed as hoaxes, created by people with planks and ropes, some circles exhibit features that remain puzzling. Certain formations show characteristics difficult to explain by simple flattening. The crop stalks are bent at the nodes rather than broken, as if subjected to intense heat. The bending points show cellular changes consistent with rapid heating. Some circles appear in locations difficult to access without leaving traces, yet no footprints or entry paths are found. Magnetic anomalies have been detected in some formations, and a few formations have appeared in mere hours, complex designs covering large areas. Skeptics reasonably point out that humans can create elaborate crop circles, and many circle makers have demonstrated their techniques. The mysterious features might be explained by circle makers using microwave devices or other advanced methods, or by misinterpretation of natural plant responses. The vast majority are certainly human-made. Yet a small percentage remain genuinely puzzling. Some researchers propose that unusual atmospheric phenomena, perhaps plasma vortices or ball lightning, might create circular impressions in fields. Others wonder about electromagnetic effects from underground water or geological features. The crop circle phenomenon is likely many things, mostly human art and pranks, possibly with a small component of natural atmospheric effects we don't understand. Separating signal from noise in this case has proven nearly impossible. Antimatter. Why does anything exist at all? The Big Bang should have produced equal amounts of matter and antimatter. When matter and antimatter meet, they annihilate in a burst of energy. If the amounts were equal, the universe should have annihilated itself instantly after birth, leaving only energy. Yet, here we are, in a universe made of matter. Why? This is the matter-antimatter asymmetry problem, one of physics' deepest mysteries. Something must have created a slight imbalance, a tiny excess of matter over antimatter. For every billion antimatter particles, there were 1,000,000,001 matter particles. That single extra particle in 1,000,000,000 became everything. All galaxies, stars, planets, and life. Physicists have discovered that matter and antimatter aren't perfectly symmetrical. Certain particle interactions violate what's called CP symmetry, showing slight differences in how matter and antimatter behave. But the violations we've observed aren't large enough to explain the imbalance. Something else must have occurred in the first moments after the Big Bang. Various theories propose mechanisms, perhaps new physics beyond the standard model, undiscovered particles or forces that favor matter over antimatter. Or perhaps our universe is just one bubble in a multiverse, and by chance, this bubble ended up matter-dominated. Some regions might be antimatter-dominated, entire galaxies made of antimatter, though we see no evidence of this. The mystery of our existence is literally encoded in this imbalance. Every atom in your body exists because of an asymmetry we don't understand. The universe shouldn't be here, yet it is. Why? That question remains open. The placebo effect in surgery, fake operations that work. The placebo effect extends beyond pills into a disturbing realm, surgery. Studies have shown that sham surgeries, where patients undergo anesthesia and incisions, but no actual procedure, can produce results comparable to real surgery. This raises profound questions about the role of belief in physical healing. One famous study examined arthroscopic knee surgery for osteoarthritis. Patients were divided into groups. Some received the actual procedure, others received sham surgery, where surgeons made incisions but did nothing to the knee. The sham surgery group reported pain relief and improved function equal to those who received the real procedure. The benefit came not from physical intervention, but from the belief that intervention had occurred. Similar results have been found with other procedures: vertebroplasty for spinal fractures, internal mammary artery ligation for angina. The ritual of surgery, the recovery process, the expectation of improvement, all combine to produce measurable benefits, even when no actual repair occurs. This doesn't mean all surgery is placebo. Many procedures have effects far beyond what placebo could achieve, but it reveals that some surgical benefits are psychological rather than mechanical. The body responds to the belief in treatment with real physiological changes, altered pain processing, modified inflammatory responses, genuine healing. The ethics are troubling. Sham surgery deceives patients, violating informed consent. Yet these studies have revealed that some procedures being performed routinely are no better than placebo, saving patients from unnecessary surgery. The placebo effect in surgery shows how powerfully the mind influences the body, and how the theater of medical treatment can trigger healing mechanisms we barely understand. Stigmata, religious wounds that appear spontaneously. Throughout Christian history, hundreds of people have reported developing stigmata, wounds corresponding to those suffered by Jesus during crucifixion. Bleeding from hands, feet, side, or forehead appears spontaneously. Some stigmatics have been documented by physicians, with medical records confirming genuine wounds of unknown origin. The most famous modern case is Padre Pio, an Italian priest whose stigmata persisted for 50 years until his death in 1968. Medical examinations confirmed the wounds were real, sometimes bleeding profusely, though they never became infected or healed completely. Similar cases have been documented in individuals of intense religious devotion. Skeptics propose psychosomatic explanations. The mind, through unknown mechanisms, might produce physical wounds in response to extreme religious meditation or psychological states. We know that stress can cause skin conditions. Suggestion under hypnosis can produce blisters. Perhaps religious ecstasy triggers similar psychosomatic processes, yet the mechanism remains mysterious. How could mental states create precisely located wounds? Why do they sometimes match historical inaccuracies about crucifixion, like wounds in the palms rather than wrists, where nails would to actually be placed? The patterns suggest the wounds reflect cultural beliefs about crucifixion rather than historical reality. Stigmata represents an extreme intersection of mind and body, where intense belief might literally reshape physical form. Whether the explanation is religious, psychological, or some combination, the phenomenon reveals that consciousness can influence physiology in ways that produce seemingly impossible effects. The wounds are real. What creates them remains unclear. The zodiacal light, mysterious glow after sunset. Under very dark skies after sunset or before dawn, observers sometimes notice a faint pyramid of light extending up from the horizon. This is the zodiacal light, and while we understand its cause, it's connected to a mystery. The light comes from sunlight reflecting off dust particles in the plane of the solar system. This interplanetary dust comes from comets and asteroid collisions. The mystery is where all this dust comes from and why it's so. Concentrated in the solar system's plane, the amount of dust is immense, far more than can be explained by known sources. Moreover, the dust should be cleared out. Radiation pressure from the sun pushes small particles outward. The Poynting-Robertson effect causes them to spiral into the sun. Over time, the dust should dissipate. Yet it persists, suggesting constant replenishment. But from where? Comets and asteroids contribute, but calculations suggest there should be less dust than we observe. Some astronomers propose that dust might be generated by collisions in the asteroid belt at higher rates than estimated. Others suggest contributions from Kuiper belt objects beyond Neptune. A few wonder about dust coming from interstellar space, captured by the sun's gravity. The zodiacal light is beautiful, a ghostly glow connecting Earth to the wider solar system. But it's also a reminder that even our local cosmic neighborhood contains mysteries, phenomena we see but don't fully explain. The Mandela effect, collective false memories. Large groups of people sometimes share detailed memories of events that never happened. This is called the Mandela effect, named after the widespread false memory that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1,980 seconds. He actually died in 2013, yet thousands of people remember news reports of his death decades earlier, complete with specific details. Other examples include memories of a Sinbad movie called Shazam that never existed, or the Berenstain Bears spelled Berenstein, or the Monopoly Man wearing a monocle he never had. These aren't individual mistakes, but shared false memories, sometimes held by thousands of people with surprising consistency. The conventional explanation involves how memory works. Memories aren't recordings, but reconstructions. Each time we remember something, we slightly alter it, incorporating suggestions and assumptions. When these alterations are influenced by common cultural references or logical but wrong inferences, many people might alter their memories similarly, creating shared false memories. Some propose more exotic explanations. Could the Mandela effect be evidence of parallel universes bleeding into each other, with some people remembering events from alternate timelines? While this makes for fun speculation, neuroscience offers simpler answers. Human memory is fallible and suggestible in predictable ways. Yet the Mandela effect remains fascinating because it reveals how collectively unreliable memory can be. Large groups confidently remember things that didn't happen. This has implications for history, legal testimony, and our understanding of shared reality. If memory is this malleable, how much of what we think we know is actually reconstructed fiction? The Mandela effect shows that consensus doesn't guarantee truth. The tiny genetic difference: humans and chimpanzees. Humans and chimpanzees share approximately 98.8% of their DNA. That 1.2% difference encompasses everything that makes us distinctly human: language, abstract thought, culture, technology, everything. How can such a small genetic difference produce such enormous functional differences? The mystery deepens when you realize that much of that 1.2% difference is in non-coding DNA, regions that don't directly produce proteins. Some differences involve gene regulation, how and when genes are expressed, rather than the genes themselves. Small changes in timing or location of gene activation during development can have massive effects. But this doesn't fully explain the human-chimpanzee gap. Some researchers point to specific genes that underwent rapid change in human evolution. FOXP2, associated with language ability, differs by just 2 amino acids between humans and chimps, yet these changes might underlie our speech capability. HAR1, a region that changed rapidly in human evolution, is involved in brain development. But even these discoveries don't fully explain how tiny genetic differences produce conscious, technological beings from one species and not the other. The puzzle suggests that small changes in the right places can trigger cascades of effects, or that what matters isn't just the genes themselves, but complex interactions between genes, regulatory networks that amplify small differences, or perhaps intelligence and culture emergence from minimal genetic changes, suggesting these traits are more accessible evolutionarily than we think. The 1.2% difference is a humbling reminder that we're not as special as we feel. We're apes, with a few tweaks. Yet those tweaks produced language, science, art, and the ability to contemplate our own existence. How? That remains mysterious. Will-o'-the-wisp. Ghostly lights over swamps. For centuries, people reported seeing mysterious lights hovering over marshes and swamps at night. These will-o'-the-wisps, or ignis fatuus, appeared as flickering flames that danced over water and wetlands, seeming to retreat when approached. Folklore associated them with spirits, fairies, or demons, luring travelers to their doom. But are they real? The scientific explanation suggests will-o'-the-wisps are caused by the spontaneous combustion of gases produced by decaying organic matter. Methane and phosphine released from rotting vegetation can ignite, creating brief, flickering flames. Phosphine, in particular, can spontaneously combust at lower temperatures. Yet this explanation has problems. Controlled attempts to reproduce will-o'-the-wisps under lab conditions have produced only weak, brief flames, unlike the sustained, bright lights described in historical accounts. The gases would need specific concentration ratios, and ignition sources in swamps are unclear. Some researchers suggest that ball lightning might account for some sightings, though this just trades one mystery for another. Modern sightings of will-o'-the-wisps have declined dramatically, suggesting they might have been partly misidentifications of artificial lights or bioluminescent organisms. Yet historical accounts from trustworthy observers, including scientists and explorers, describe phenomena that remain unexplained. Some swamp lights might be rare, natural, electrical, or chemical phenomena that we lack the conditions to study properly. Will-o'-the-wisps represent a mystery in decline, a phenomenon reported for centuries, that has faded as wilderness disappears and electric lighting spreads? Were they real natural phenomena now too rare to study? Or were they always misperceptions and folklore? The marsh lights have mostly gone dark, taking their secrets with them. Quantum tunneling. Particles passing through walls. In the quantum world, particles can do something impossible by classical standards. Pass through barriers they don't have enough energy to surmount. An electron encountering a wall it cannot classically overcome has a small probability of appearing on the other side. This is quantum tunneling, and it's essential to how the universe works. Tunneling enables nuclear fusion in stars. Protons in the sun's core don't have enough energy to overcome their electromagnetic repulsion through classical means, but quantum tunneling allows them to get close enough for the strong nuclear force to bind them. Without tunneling, stars wouldn't shine, and we wouldn't exist. Tunneling occurs because particles at quantum scales aren't particles at all, but probability waves. When a particle encounters a barrier, its wave function doesn't stop abruptly, but extends through and beyond the barrier with decreasing amplitude. There's a small but real probability of finding the particle on the far side. Measurement causes the wave function to collapse, and the particle might be beyond the barrier. What makes this mysterious is what it implies about reality. The particle doesn't go over or around the barrier. It doesn't make a hole. It doesn't have extra energy. It simply appears on the other side, without traversing the space between. This is deeply weird. In the quantum world, location itself is probabilistic until measured. Particles exist in superposition, potentially on both sides of a barrier, until observation forces them to choose. Quantum tunneling has been verified countless times and is used in technology like scanning, tunneling, microscopes, and tunnel diodes. Yet explaining what's really happening, how a particle can be in two places or pass through solid matter, pushes language and intuition to their limits. The quantum world operates by rules that seem magical from our everyday perspective. The Hutchison effect, levitation and metal fusion claims. In the 1980 seconds, Canadian inventor John Hutchison claimed to have discovered a bizarre phenomenon. While experimenting with electromagnetic equipment, he reported that objects in his lab would levitate, metals would fuse at room temperature, and materials would undergo strange transformations. Video footage appeared to show objects floating and metal samples blending together impossibly. The Hutchison effect, as it became known, was supposedly created by interfering electromagnetic fields from Tesla coils and other equipment. Hutchison couldn't reliably reproduce the effect, but claimed it occurred spontaneously when certain equipment combinations were operating. Some videos were quite compelling, showing what appeared to be genuine levitation and material anomalies. Scientists who investigated remained skeptical. The effect was never reproduced under controlled conditions. Analysis suggested the levitation videos could be achieved through simple tricks, camera rotation, hidden supports, or edited footage. The metal fusion might be explained by careful selection of materials and thermal effects. Hutchison refused to allow truly independent testing under conditions that would rule out trickery. Most scientists conclude the Hutchison effect is either fraud or self-delusion, elaborate hoaxes, rather than genuine physics. Yet Hutchison continued to document strange occurrences in his lab, and some followers maintain there's something real happening. The effect remains in the realm of fringe science, claimed but unproven, possibly a cautionary tale about wishful thinking and insufficient controls. Whether real or not, the Hutchison effect illustrates how easy it is to be fooled by our desire for mysteries and revolutionary discoveries. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that evidence has never materialized in testable form. The information paradox. What happens to data in black holes? When matter falls into a black hole, what happens to the information it contains? Quantum mechanics says information cannot be destroyed. It's fundamental to how the universe works. But black holes seem to violate this. Matter falling in is crushed beyond recognition, and eventually, the black hole evaporates through Hawking radiation, seeming to take information with it. This is the black hole information paradox. Stephen Hawking initially argued that information is indeed destroyed in black holes, a revolutionary and troubling claim. It would mean quantum mechanics breaks down in extreme gravity, requiring new physics. Others proposed the information might be preserved on the black hole's event horizon, encoded in a holographic manner. Or, perhaps, information escapes through subtle correlations in Hawking radiation. Recently, Hawking revised his position, suggesting information isn't lost, but returns in scrambled form through Hawking radiation. But how this works remains unclear. The paradox touches on fundamental questions about the nature of reality. If information is preserved, it means the universe maintains a perfect record of everything that ever happens. If destroyed, it means the cosmos has a delete button. The information paradox connects black holes, quantum mechanics, and thermodynamics in ways that hint at deeper principles. Some physicists think resolving it will require a quantum theory of gravity, unifying general relativity and quantum mechanics. Others believe it points toward holographic principles, where reality is encoded on surfaces rather than in volumes. The paradox remains unresolved, a crack in our understanding where profound truths might be hiding. Morgellons disease, fibers emerging from skin. Some individuals report a disturbing condition, colored fibers emerging from their skin, accompanied by crawling sensations, itching, and lesions. This is called Morgellons disease, named by a patient who connected it to a 17th century medical text. Sufferers insist the fibers are real and the condition is infectious. Medical authorities largely consider it a form of delusional parasitosis, a psychological condition where people believe they're infested with parasites. The controversy is bitter. Morgellons patients feel dismissed and marginalized. They point to the fibers as physical evidence. Some have had the fibers analyzed and claim they don't match common environmental fibers, like lint or clothing. They describe consistent symptoms across thousands of cases, suggesting a real condition. The CDC conducted a major study, examining 115 patients. They found no evidence of an infectious cause. The fibers were identified as cotton or other common materials, likely from clothing that had become embedded in skin lesions caused by scratching. Skin biopsies showed nothing unusual. The study concluded Morgellons was similar to delusional infestation, though it avoided that terminology to prevent stigmatization. Yet questions linger. Why do so many people independently develop the same detailed delusion? Could there be a skin condition, perhaps related to Lyme disease or other infections, that creates sensations leading to excessive scratching and fiber embedding? Some research suggests a connection to Lyme disease, though this remains controversial. Morgellons sits uncomfortably between psychology and medicine. Whether it's primarily psychological, an unrecognized physical condition, or a combination remains debated. For those suffering, the cause matters less than finding relief. The mystery is whether medicine has missed something real, or whether this represents how powerfully the mind can create physical symptoms. The final mysteries, why anything exists at all. We end with the ultimate mystery, existence itself. Why is there something rather than nothing? This question has troubled philosophers and scientists for millennia. You might answer with the Big Bang, but that just pushes the question back. Why was there a Big Bang? Why do the laws of physics exist? Why these laws rather than others? Some propose that nothing is actually unstable, that quantum fluctuations inevitably produce universes from void. Others suggest existence is necessary, that something must exist, because absolute nothingness is incoherent or impossible. The multiverse hypothesis proposes that all possible universes exist, making our particular universe's existence less surprising, though it doesn't explain why the multiverse exists. Theological answers propose God or an ultimate cause, but this too pushes the question back. Why does God exist? Philosophical answers sometimes argue the question is meaningless, that existence doesn't require explanation because it's the only possible state. But this feels unsatisfying. Why is existence the only possible state? The question might be unanswerable, not because we lack information, but because it lies beyond the reach of logic. We exist within reality, using tools and concepts derived from that reality. Asking why reality exists might be like asking what's north of the North Pole, a question that seems meaningful, but actually isn't. Yet the mystery remains. You're reading this, you exist, the universe is here, consciousness has emerged to contemplate itself, matter has organized into forms capable of asking why matter exists at all. This is either the deepest mystery or the most obvious fact, depending on perspective. Either way, it's awe-inspiring. Everything unexplained derives from this ultimate mystery, the sheer improbable wonder of existence itself. A gentle ending, mysteries as companions. And so, dear listener, our journey through the unexplained comes to a close. We've wandered together through strange sounds and stranger sights, through questions of consciousness and cosmos, through phenomena that science has illuminated and those that remain stubbornly mysterious. We've seen that the universe is not a solved puzzle, but an ongoing exploration, full of surprises that continue to emerge. Some mysteries will be solved. Others might remain forever beyond our understanding. A few might not actually be mysterious at all, just misunderstood. But each one reminds us that reality is larger, stranger, and more wonderful than our current knowledge can contain. The unexplained isn't a failure of science, but an invitation to curiosity, a reminder to maintain wonder. As you settle into sleep, imagine yourself standing at the boundary between known and unknown. Behind you, the comfortable territory of understanding. Ahead, the vast, unexplored territory of mysteries yet to be solved, questions yet to be asked, phenomena yet to be discovered. You exist at this boundary, in a universe that reveals itself slowly, layer by layer, never completely, never predictably. The hum in the distance might be machinery, or might be Earth itself singing. The lights in the sky might be stars, or might be something we haven't yet named. The boundary between your consciousness and the physical universe might be sharp, or might be fluid, interpenetrating, mysterious. You don't need to solve these mysteries tonight. You need only to rest, to let them settle gently into your mind, like snow falling on a quiet field. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Let the mysteries be mysteries. Let the questions remain questions. The universe doesn't require your understanding to continue being magnificent. It simply is, and you are part of it. A conscious piece of cosmos contemplating the cosmic mystery. Sleep well, traveler in the unknown. Dream of phenomena that baffle scientists, of lights that dance without source, of questions that have no answers yet, of the beautiful, bewildering mystery of existence itself. Good night.